The first time I tried out The Witcher 3, it was on someone's PlayStation 4. I had only played it for about 3 hours, and this was before I ever even had a computer, and the only real game I played at the time was Minecraft. I couldn't believe I'd spent 5 years of my life without knowing this game existed. From that day on, I was intrigued by the game, but I had to wait to get my own PC to be able to play it. So, over the many months of saving up, the memory of the game slowly faded, but one thing that stuck in my mind was the music. A huge part of what makes the music great is quite literally what makes the music great. One of the widest varieties of instruments I've seen used in a game soundtrack. And you might be thinking, more is less, right? Wrong. Somehow, the more instruments used, the better the sound is. As this game was produced, inspired and set in medieval Poland, it seemed fitting to use Polish instruments. That's why CD Projekt decided to bring on Polish folk band Percival for the job. Let's take a listen to a short section of A Story You Won't Believe. Okay, so we've got some Polish saz, a bit like a lute. We've got a bit of drums, some whistle, a commencer. Each instrument here is added on one by one in a small but fun build-up to a rhythm that immediately presents itself as a heartwarming tune, perhaps to be played in an inn or tavern. When we compare this with something such as the Geralt of Rivia theme, performed by the Brandenburg State Orchestra from Frankfurt, using all the original orchestral instruments plus a few extra. This leads up to an extremely dramatic, chase-like piece with leitmotifs of the Wild Hunt and Geralt himself. The song is rarely heard in the game itself, however, often only used in cinematics. On a side note about Percival, their music works really well in the background of Gwent, but it's always there when I lose.
This game sucks!
To talk about location, we have to start in White Orchard. White Orchard. I think it's fair to say that anyone who's completed the game gets a huge nostalgia bomb when they hear the bittersweet music from White Orchard again, and it does a great job at presenting the style of the music carried throughout the game. It's not necessarily fast-paced or disheartening, nor is it a very jolly piece. As a starting location, it is appropriate to introduce the player to the game, and the soundtrack too. I think a part of what makes White Orchard music so great is that it's the first thing the players hear when they step into the game. It's something they can look back on, makes them feel safe, and reminds them of a time before the events of the story took place. I'd say the White Orchard theme is one of my favourite pieces of music in The Witcher. It really captures the atmosphere of the place, and strangely reminds me of the wintertime. The next area of the game the player comes upon is Velen, a war-ravaged area plagued with crop failure and disease. The general look and feel of Velen is pure poverty. Everybody is a nobody here, and I think that the music in its unforgiving nature helps portray this. Although there are a few upbeat tracks, like Midcops for example, the majority of them are similar to traditional medieval pieces from the time. let's talk about the Bloody Baron. Some people have said that the music in Velen changes depending on your progress in the Bloody Baron's questline, and it is true that he has multiple different themes, such as the Bloody Baron's family and Crow's Perch. There is an idea that certain songs are only heard in Crow's Perch after the Baron has left. I mean, just listen to the emotion in this song.
Sheathe your weapon, young man!
You may be familiar with the Crones if you've done the Bloody Baron questline, but something you might have missed out on is just how creepy their theme is. The idea of an old lady raising orphans in the middle of a bog is enough to send chills down your spine, and paired with the music and game, you get a feeling of constantly being watched. Feeling uncomfortable? You might not have noticed, but listen to what's playing in the background. The slightly out of tune minor key strikes a fight or flight response within, and it just reeks of pure evil, shaping the introduction of the Crones, fitting their characters perfectly. In fact, I would even say this song would be good for reading some Slavic folklore, the basis of the Crones. Some people have said, never before has a piece of music alone made them want to leave a place in a game, and I would have to agree. So, we know the music changes throughout the game, even in the same location, but what about sub-locations? In North Velen and Novigrad, the music takes a more complex change, with inclusion of faster time signatures and more advanced playstyles. This echoes how Novigrad is more developed compared to the rundown areas in the south. Not much can compare to the first time you set foot in Novigrad. Just make sure you never, ever no-clip there.
Larry, I've got a fish! Larry, I've got a fish! What's that you say, John? You got a fish, have you? Might I interest you in joining the Eternal Flame?
I think it's just me, but I really dislike the Novigrad and Oxenfurt themes. They don't seem to fit in with the other parts of the soundtrack. Skellige is absolutely breathtaking, and its hauntingly beautiful soundtrack lives up to its looks equally. Skellige was inspired by a mixture of Scottish, Irish and Scandinavian features, not to mention the literal Skellige Isles off the coast of Southern Ireland. These features show up not only in the world, but in the music too. For example, the Fields of Ard Skellig is heavily based upon a traditional Gaelic theme, Fair Abata. This is no coincidence, as CD Projekt obviously tried to take on as much inspiration as they could to make it accurate. Another interesting discovery I made is that in the Fields of Ard Skellig is a violin section that is also found in a track from medieval Total War known as Eurosummer 1. And judging by the look on these lads' faces, they seem a bit confused as to why this tune is used in both of these games. Well, the truth is it's still a traditional Gaelic tune. Simple as that. All of the Skellige exploration tracks have a sort of hum or glow in the background, and I think this gives the pieces a very mystical property, similar to the Druids themselves. While searching even deeper into the Skellige music, I found that Bonnie at Morn is also a real song, with the same name, but I think the lyrics are slightly different.
The sheep's in the meadow and the kye's in the corn. Thou's our lang in thy bed, bonny at morn. The sheep are in the meadow and the kye are in the corn.
Skellige is an archipelago of multiple islands, each with a respective theme, the most notable of these being the fields of Ardskellig and Spikerog. All of these themes are extremely well thought out and among some of the best in the game, and I'm not even going to talk about The Wolf and the Swallow, because I think it should only be experienced through playing the game for yourself. Oh boy, the combat music speaks for itself here. It is literally insane. It manages to get you in the mood for killing monsters straight off the first note, and has some of the best use of instruments I think you can experience in a game. It always comes at the right time, and I will never be disappointed to hear it. The combat music pretty much starts as soon as you draw out a sword, and usually fits in with a random lady screaming for absolutely no reason. Do you look like the drowner I'm trying to kill here? Most of the combat songs follow a layering technique, where there is an introductory instrument layered with another and another. I absolutely love this technique, as it gives off some extremely strong themes of war. I mean, the amount of times I've deliberately dodged and not attacked in a fight to keep the combat music going is countless. Take the Song of the Sword Dancer for example. And we compare this to something like Steel for Humans. We hear a very distinctive vocal harshness. Each phrase is pronounced to the full, as if it were an instrument itself. You could even say that the abrupt singing style overshadows the tense fights Geralt has against his foes. And the one thing everyone loves about the combat music is the because it defines The Witcher, and well, it's pretty cool. So, next time you hear the music in this game, be it exploring, playing Gwent, or killing monsters, I hope you will take a second to listen out for the music. I recommend turning up to 100% to really get immersed. This video has been a little passion project of mine over the past couple of weeks, so I would really appreciate it if you liked and shared this video. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.